to my channel. Today we're going to be making 5 DIY home decor items that are so simple to make. I'm really excited about these. I've tried to combine some ideas that are minimal with some that are a little bit more fun and merge them together. And today we're actually being sponsored by Canon, who have kindly gifted me their Pixma printer, which I'm going to be using in 2 of the 5 DIYs today to create simple and easy DIY projects that you can do as well. Canon has an amazing range of products that you can use with your printer that's great for crafters like you and I. And today I'm going to be trying out their magnet paper and their transfer paper. They also have fantastic sticker paper as well, which is great for crafting, and the Pixma printer that I'm using today, not only is it a gorgeous pink colour, which is right up my alley, but it also creates beautiful quality photographs and prints, and the colour is so vibrant and it's so sharp. I'm so excited to finally have a printer that I can use in DIY projects. I'll share with you some of the DIYs throughout this video, but without further ado, let's jump into DIY number 1. I want to start off with this really fun project that came to me when I was looking at some of those beaded daisy necklaces that are everywhere at the moment. I thought I could make this into home decor. So today we're going to use some wooden beads and some macrame cord and a thick wool needle, which you'll want to thread onto your macrame cord to add the beads. So I'm starting with 1 bead at the end to keep my whole project all in one place so it doesn't start falling off everywhere. And I'm adding a few beads to the bottom. These are going to separate my design. So to make the daisies, you're going to need 7 small beads. These will become the petals. Start by putting on 4 and then a large bead for the center. This will be the middle of your daisy. So this is what it should look like to begin with. See the first small bead that we put on the right hand side? We're going to take the wool needle and push it back the way we came through that bead. This will create half of the daisy, like so. Pull it tight, add 3 more of the petal beads on, push them to the bottom, and then you can see the 4th bead we added is the one we're going to go back through with the needle, like so. Don't worry, I will repeat this so you get a good idea of what's happening, but that creates our daisy. I then added a few more beads to create a separator. I'm using 5 here, 4 medium size and 1 large, and then we're going in again for another daisy. So once again, 4 small white beads I'm using, 1 large one for the center, go back through the first bead, pull it tight to create half of your daisy, add 3 more beads onto your string, pull them to the bottom, and then push your wool needle back through the 4th bead, pulling it tightly. Repeat these steps over and over again until you have a daisy chain as long as you want it. I did this overnight and created quite a long one, which I've hung up in my office. I'm really pleased with how this turned out, and it does look a lot like those cute little necklaces. I think I want to make one of those for myself as well, but this will do for now. Anyway, there you have it, a simple boho style daisy chain. For my next project, Canon challenged me to their Pix Makers Challenge. I'm going to show you how to make some very simple fridge magnets really easily using my Pixma printer and some magnetic photo paper. I drew up these designs on my tablet to make them unique, but you can use photos or clip art that you can find online or anything that you want to really. I'm loading the magnetic photo paper into my Pixma printer and I'm sending these to print. You can connect this with your laptop or with the Canon print app, which is so easy to use. Just make sure you put the settings on that you would like for your chosen paper, and it's so simple, just press print and it will go. I printed a few of these with different images on. This is how some of them looked, and it was so quick and easy to cut all of the shapes out of the magnet paper using just scissors. I put a ton of these on the side of my fridge where it's magnetic, and I absolutely love them. They're perfect for spring. If you have a Pixma printer and would like to take part in the Pix Makers Challenge, you can do so by sharing your creations on Instagram with the hashtag #MadeWithPixma. Tag me and Canon UK so I can see your creations. This is a curtain panel, and I want to turn it into a throw blanket. I bought it secondhand and there's a couple of small imperfections on it, even though I've thrown it through the wash a couple of times. So I'm going to try and cover those up with some texture. And I'm thinking I can do it with this stuff. I found this in B&M, it was £3 and it looks kind of like a little fluffy tassel trim. So let's lay this on the floor and see if we can set up a pattern. Before laying out my pattern, I ended up cutting off all of the loops from the top of the curtain first so that I could hem this on my sewing machine. Luckily for me, this fabric has a grid pattern on it, so it's very easy to cut and attach my tassel trim to without having to measure it. Yes. I love it when I make things easier for myself. It doesn't happen very often, but it happens once in a while. I've just cut the curtain loops off of the top and now I'm going to fold this raw edge over and send it through my sewing machine so we've got a nice clean finish. Then we can get into the fun stuff. After hemming, I laid my piece of fabric on the floor and decided where I wanted my trim to go. I did this one piece at a time and I pinned it in place. I ended up using 2 pieces of trim on each end of the blanket to create 2 stripes on either side, so I did 4 in total. I did want to do a geometric pattern in the middle, but it ended up taking quite some time and I liked how simple it looked with just a few pieces of trim. On the sewing machine, I'm also using a zigzag stitch to hold it into place really well. So we have 1 row done, and I think it looks really cute. It actually looks semi-professional, like you could have bought this in a store. However, 1 down, quite a few more to go. I'm gonna finish this overnight and I'll come back to you once I've done the whole thing, but you get the idea. See you in a bit with the final result. Wish me luck, because that took me 30 minutes to do 1. After I finished the first piece of trim, it actually became a lot quicker to finish. This is how it turned out, and I love how it's still quite minimal, but it adds a little bit of texture to this blanket, and now I've got it on my sofa so I can cuddle up with it in the evenings. For my next project, I want to share with you how easy it is to make a graphic design on any fabric. I'm going to do a cushion and I'm using my light fabric iron-on transfers from Canon. They also do a dark version if you want to do this on darker fabric. I'm loading this into my Pixma printer and I'm printing my design, which once again I designed on my tablet, and it says "Walking on Sunshine," which I thought would be a nice summary quote. The Canon app automatically flipped my piece when I selected the transfer paper, but if you're doing this on a computer, make sure to remember to flip your piece. Anyway, once that was done, I ironed my pillowcase, making sure there were no creases left in it. I did this with the steam setting. Bear in mind, if you use your steam setting, let your pillowcase dry before you add your piece. I'm cutting around all of my text, leaving a very small margin around the edge to make sure I'm not going to lose any of my pieces and can keep it as one single piece. And once I was happy with all of my cutting out, I laid this face down on top of the pillow cover. I made sure to line it up so that it was as neat as possible, and then I ironed it down. Depending on your iron, the settings might be a bit different. Do check the paper manual before you start ironing, and this will give you the exact amount of time for your piece as well. I ironed my piece for about 3 minutes on a medium heat with no steam setting. Make sure the steam isn't on. Leave it cool for a few minutes. Don't touch it when you first finished, as it will still be very hot, but start peeling your design off when it's still a little bit warm to the touch. This will make it so much easier. This was really easy to do, and I just peeled it off nice and gently to reveal my text. This is how my design turned out. I think it works really well on my pink couch in my pink living room, and I'm excited to try this with more designs and different fabrics in the future. My next project is going to be a crescent moon shaped wall hanging. For this I had to buy a hula hoop, and I'm also using some thick macrame cord. With the hula hoop, I wanted to get rid of all of the plastic that was covering it, so I used some nail scissors to detach it, and then I ripped it off. This was very therapeutic. I thoroughly enjoyed this process. I cut the hoop using my small hacksaw and miter box. The first cut I made was directly in half, so I had a half of a hoop, and then for the next cut, I then made it slightly smaller. This is the extra piece, which I ended up throwing away. You'll see the shape in a minute that I ended up creating, but I wanted to paint it first so I wouldn't see this kind of grey colour underneath. Painted it using white acrylic paint as I'd run out of spray paint, and I used hot glue to fix both of the pieces of hula hoop together. I overloaded this with hot glue to make sure it wasn't going anywhere. This is how it turned out. As you can see, one of the pieces is slightly smaller than the other one. I'm adding macrame cord all over this piece using hot glue to keep it in place, and I'm just attaching it from one side to another and wrapping it round. I started in the middle so we didn't end up with a kind of skewed shape, and as you can see, I didn't notice that I hadn't finished painting some sections of the hoop. Don't worry, I went back in halfway through wrapping and I touched them all up, so it was completely fine in the end. But this is just the procedure I went through. Wrap it, glue it, wrap it, glue it for a while until we get all the way to the end. I tried this project a few times because it kept getting closer and closer together the more I pulled the string, and then I realized that it was never going to be super tight. It was always going to look a little bit loose, but in the end it worked out for the best. I really like the way it turned out. It looks very boho and a little bit organic. This is what it looks like in my sitting room, and I'm really pleased I finally finished this one. Those are all of the DIYs for today's video. I hope you enjoyed them. Let me know if you're going to try any of these by commenting down below. I would love to hear about it. And if you want to check out Canon and their amazing Pixma printer and all of the wide variety of papers available, I'm going to leave that linked down below. So definitely go check it out. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great week. Happy crafting, and I'll see you next time. Bye!